Is this a Justin Herbert line or a Trey Lance line? Every week there's a variation of this question that I get asked on weekly podcast appearances, as inevitably some star quarterback finds his way onto the injury report and is questionable to play. Sometimes that's Lamar Jackson, and the downgrade is obvious and regularly measured given how frequently he misses a game. Sometimes that's Aaron Rodgers to Mason Rudolph, and the betting market sort of shrugs its collective shoulders, as it did when the Steelers went to Chicago a couple weeks ago. Justin Herbert broke his left hand last Sunday, played the rest of the game against the Raiders, proving you can actually beat Las Vegas with one hand virtually tied behind your back, and then had surgery on Monday. His intent all week has been to play, and by the time you're reading this we may have an answer to whether he will or not. If Herbert was not able to go in this game, or in any game, and Trey Lance was required to play, naturally, the Chargers' power rating in the betting market would go down. So, as Herbert's lingered in the in-between universe of questionable, we're needing to assess whether Eagles minus 2.5 was a Herbert line, a Lance line, or somewhere in between. Odds courtesy of BetMGM. Philadelphia Eagles minus 242 at Los Angeles Chargers. The current Chargers rating that makes them +2 at home against the Eagles on Monday night would have made LA -9 against the Raiders last week. Since the Chargers were -9.5, you can see that only a minor downgrade has been put in place, thereby assuming that Herbert will play. If you assign a team their power rating out of 100, the Chargers would be around 55, a team rated slightly above average. Should Lance play, a fair expectation would be that LA would perform at a level below league average. Assigning a Lance-led Bolts a conservative rating of 41/100 would send this line up to Eagles -6. Perhaps ironically, the Eagles have seen a bigger downgrade than the Chargers this past week due to Philadelphia's upset loss at home to the Bears on Black Friday. Including the absence of Jalen Carter shoulders in this game, the Eagles have gone from the low 70s to the mid-60s and would have reset their line against Chicago at Eagles -5 versus the -7 it closed. Week 14 NFL odds, picks, predictions, our NFL best bets, including a play in Texans-Chiefs. Maybe the Eagles have been re-rated to where they should be, as a good but not great team, but it's also possible that their strength, a dominant defensive front and quality cornerback play, was mitigated by the matchup with Chicago's offensive line ranked 4th this week by PFF, able to dominate. Now the Eagles' defense faces a Chargers O-line that's ranked 31st by PFF. Does that mismatch make it more likely the Chargers decide to sit Herbert, or that he doesn't make it through the game if he starts? Any percentage chance of that happening has to be factored into the handicap, especially knowing the Chargers, sitting in the top spot for the AFC wild card, have a far more important game against the Eagles next week. In the end, while much of that is hypothetical, what we know is that Philadelphia's offense gets to face a Chargers run defense that's in the bottom third of the NFL in EPA play against opponent run plays and success rate allowed. If that results in more room for Saquon Barkley, a smoother operation for a much-maligned offense may be on the horizon as well. Pick. Eagles -2. Player props. Jalen Hurts under 193.5 passing yards -115. Jalen Hurts. QB, Phi number 1. 2025-2026 season. 2,514. Pass yards. 209.5. Pass YG. 66.1%. PCT, 19, Pass TD, 103.9. QB Rat, buy tickets on Game Time. This is about necessity. The Eagles are 2-4 when Hurts is pushed to throw for 200+ yards, and their 2 wins were a comeback against the Rams, and when Hurts was able to find 2 long pass completions over the top in Minnesota. The Chargers aren't likely to give up that kind of coverage bust, and we don't expect the Eagles to need to go into throw mode. Saquon Barkley over 72.5 rush yards -115. The Chargers' pass defense has moved up the rankings in crucial metrics, with the help of some weaker opponents, but it doesn't change the fact that the Eagles' route to victory is to get Barkley going. The market has taken notice of this too, moving the yardage line up from 68.5 to 72.5 throughout the day on Sunday, but with the added possibility of closing out a win late on the ground, we'll still expect the star tailback to make a run at 80 or more yards. Omarion Hampton under 11.5 rushing attempts -125. Omarion Hampton, RB, lat number 8. IRR, 2025-2026 season. 314, rush yards, 62.8, rush YG, 4.8, rush YA, 2, rush TD, 54, Long. Buy tickets on Game Time. In his 5 games played this season, Omarion Hampton's average yards per carry are 3.2, 3.0, 3.7, 10.7, and 3.7. That one game stands out, and it came against arguably the worst run defense in the NFL, the New York Giants. Hampton's expected to be activated off injured reserve after missing extended time with an ankle injury, but how much should we expect him to play? The answer might come in the production of Kamani Vidal during Hampton's absence. Vidal has 4 games of 95 or more rushing yards in 7 of those games while Hampton was out. So, while the Chargers rookie is the future number 1 tailback, for this week there's no guarantee he gets more carries. Anytime touchdown. RB Saquon Barkley plus 130. After 6 touchdowns in the first 8 weeks, Barkley's been held out of the end zone in 4 straight. Only 4 teams have allowed more touchdowns to opposing running backs this season than the Chargers. If we like the Eagles because of Barkley's potential for a breakout game and enough to back him over his yardage number, then we should probably like him to score at plus money. Dallas Goedert plus 332. Philadelphia's tight end apparently got lost in the crowds on Black Friday, but his lack of usage had to be addressed in the last week plus. The Chargers don't allow much to opposing tight ends in the general field of play, but only 6 teams have allowed more touchdowns to them, and it's a different challenge when you have to honor the possibility of Barkley or Hurts to run one in. Like Barkley, Goedert is on a 4-game scoring drought, but he has 7 touchdowns on the season, so look for the Eagles to look back to one of their traditionally most reliable options near the goal line. Tyron Gadsden plus 280. Since coming into the fold in a big way Week 6 in Miami, the Chargers rookie tight end had seen at least 5 targets in every game played until last week, where he only saw 2 in a slow, easy win over the Raiders. The Eagles' cornerback trio of Quinion Mitchell, Cooper DeJean and Adoree Jackson match up nicely with Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston, and Keenan Allen, but no team has a physical option to deal with Gadsden at 6'5", 240 pounds. Gadsden is also as capable of stretching the field, as he did with his lone catch for 27 yards last week.